Welcome back. First of all, let me explain what's going on. It's Sunday afternoon. I did not record the video on Saturday, which is my normal custom. The reason I didn't was because, very simply, the message wasn't ready yet. And so I waited. In fact, was working on the message a little bit, even leading right up to driving to church. And that happens sometimes. And so I'm recording it on Sunday afternoon. And I'll get it posted as quickly as the electronics permit. Salvation is free. How many of you believe that? If you believe salvation is free, just have a show of hands, all right? Okay. We're pretty much in agreement. Salvation is free. In fact, even if you tried, you could never earn salvation. It's free. In Romans chapter 3, but now a righteousness from God, apart from law, has been made known, to which the law and the prophets testify. This righteousness from God comes through faith in Jesus Christ to all who believe. There is no difference, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and are justified freely by His grace through the redemption that came by Jesus Christ. Salvation is free. Now, there are people who believe that nothing is free, that everything comes with an attachment, an obligation. Some years ago, I was at a church where the church building was located in a residential area, and I gathered a group of college students one day and said, let's go give out free light bulbs to our neighbors in the neighborhood. And we attached a little sticker that said, we hope we've brought a little light into your life from your friends with the name of the church. So we went door to door just handing this out, and we encountered a lot of different people. One woman said, well, I'm not part of your parish. And I said, that's okay. We want to give you a free light bulb. She said, no. Save it for the members of your parish. And but there was another gentleman who was very abrupt. He said, nope, don't want one. I said, why not? He said, because there's nothing free in this life. I said, well, today there's a free light bulb. And he said, nope, no such thing as a free lunch. Everything that they say is free, it comes with strings. And I said, well, not today. He said, don't want it. I said, okay, we're not going to force you, but you are missing out on a free light bulb. There are people who believe that nothing is free, that everything that is claimed to be free comes with strings attached. And that gentleman was one of them. And that was his philosophy of life. And his philosophy of life resulted in him missing out on a free light bulb that day. Salvation is free. You couldn't earn it. It's yours for the taking if you want it. Now, by salvation, we mean two general broad things. One is that when you have salvation and you die, where do you go? Where do you go? That's right, you go to heaven. But the other thing is, it's not just that you have a reward when you die, it's that salvation includes things in the present. You get to be in a relationship with the Creator God of the universe, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And God put it in motion. God put it in place. Now, I did a Google search on the phrase salvation is free just to see what would pop up. A lot of sermon titles popped up. One of them was salvation is free, but it will cost you your life. And I thought that was kind of funny. I didn't like the conjunction the guy used, though, the word but. I prefer the word and. Salvation is free, and it includes a lot of opportunities. And that is pointed to in Hebrews chapter 10. It's one of my favorite passages. Therefore, since we have confidence to enter the most holy place by the blood of Jesus, by a new and living way opened for us through the curtain that is His body, and since we have a great high priest over the house of God, that's Jesus, our high priest, let us draw near to God with a sincere heart in full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled to cleanse us from a guilty conscience, and having our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Let us not give up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but let us encourage one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. A lot of goodness in that brief passage. Hebrews chapter 10, verses 19 to 25. It's wonderful, wonderful thoughts included in there. Salvation is free, and it brings with it many, many wonderful opportunities. One of those is that you are in communion, in relationship with God. This free salvation then becomes a motivating factor, which causes us to want to draw near to God. As this passage says, draw near to God. It's one way to know someone, when you draw near to the person, when you make that decision. James chapter 4, verse 8, come near to God and he will come near to you. It's almost like a cause and effect situation that God has established. You draw near to God, God will draw near to you. Now, of course, God doesn't desire that you and I be lazy about salvation. He doesn't want us just sitting back with a glass of lemonade just saying, yep, I've got salvation and, that's all I need. He spurs us into a relationship, not just with God, but with people. And this passage says, think about it. How can you spur people on toward love and good deeds? How can you encourage people? A scholar named Robert Milligan commented on this passage. Let us not be selfish, caring merely for ourselves, but let us have constantly in mind each other's wants and circumstances as members of one family of God. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. Carry each other's burdens as you consider one another. How can you spur people on? How can you encourage people toward love? How can you encourage people toward good deeds? Well, one of the ways is, of course, God can use us to help motivate troubled people out of their troubles. It just happens. And you've had people encourage you in your life. I've had people encourage me in my life. And that's part of the opportunity that comes to us as we experience the free salvation, as you begin living in that, dwelling in that, and you find these unique opportunities where you are drawing near to God, and then you're seeing those around you, your friends, members of your church, and you think, how can I encourage that person? How can I encourage that person? How can I spur someone on toward love and toward good deeds? Salvation is free, but we're not to be lazy. Salvation is free. And in the midst of that salvation, that free salvation in which we live, we look for those golden opportunities that are brought our way. Golden opportunities to help others, to encourage others. And consequently, we'll be encouraged ourselves. Salvation is free. Who are the beloved? Go and be the Beloved.